The clock strikes 12, I step into the haze. Whispers call me from 1,000 graves. Shadows dance in corners out of sight. I chase the unknown deep into the night. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. A flicker, a chill, a shadowed hand. The unseen lingers where I stand. Through creaking doors and empty halls, I hear the echoes of forgotten calls. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown. And the eyes that watch from a place unreal, a touch so cold it makes you feel they're near but hidden, veiled in shade. I walk with ghosts, I'm unafraid. I hunt the fear you dare not face. In the darkness I embrace the trace. The dead, they speak their secrets shown. Welcome to the bizarre and the unknown.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Bizarre and the Unknown. I'm your host, Edie Testerman. Man, we got a fun show for you today. We're going to go back into history. Back in the days when you didn't fit the norm, you were a witch. So we're going to look into some of these cases. And these were 18th century cases we're diving into. I think a few of them even go into the 19th century, possibly the 20th century. I can't remember all the dates. But we're going to take a look at this. And we're going to kind of dissect this a little bit and kind of try to get an understanding of why people thought the way they did, why they practiced the practices that they did to call somebody a witch. Which I can tell you, there was a lot of innocent people that was unalive being accused of a witch when they weren't a witch. And so we're going to look into some of this. No, I didn't, Brother William. No, I didn't sing it. I can't carry a tune in a bucket unless I'm in the shower by myself. Let me pop this up here. So this first one we're going to look at is from the Kentucky Gazette, Lexington, Kentucky, November 1897. Yes, he did. And we're going to kind of talk about that because you're going to hear about that in one of these cases here. But yeah, Kyle. So let me get this up where we can read it a little better. It's going to be hard to read because how they wrote back in the old days. So this is going to be a little fun. I want to stumble because their stuff is a little different. But the title of this article was called Witchcraft, the Virginia anecdote. About the year of 1727, when the back settlers of this country were as proviable for their prejudices as ever the swift settlers of the Plymouth were, an old woman about 120 miles from Richmond on James River was so unfortunate to have a sow litter a pig which had two tails. This circumstance soon overran the settlement. A general alarm was spread, and um, profound, the person of the parish was uh, resorted to by the effort people to account for this wonderful phenomenon. The sage divine, after daily uh, con- con- after duly considering the affair, declared that as all pigs by nature were endowed with but one tail, it was probable that the devil was in the generation of this litter. And as he cannot make anything perfect, there or these two tails were left as a mark of his imperfection. The person further observed that as other neighbors had sows on whom the evil spirit might have tried his operations, his priority for this old woman was a proof that she must have a connection with him and that she could be nothing less than a witch. The poor woman was immediately apprehended, and it was determined to tie her up in a sack and throw her into the river. When if the she floated, she was a witch, and that's kind of an interesting thing. Oh, did you? Am I still here? They came on in. Um, so this is something it's kind of intriguing here because putting people in sacks and throw them in the river and saying, "Oh, if they float, they're a witch." That makes absolutely zero sense. I had an aunt that literally could float without even trying. All she had to do was hold her breath just right, and she was able to float. But this is kind of some good, good, good. This is kind of some strange stuff what we're going to be talking about, and this first article here is showing you kind of the weirdness to how they did stuff back then. Uh, a vast course of people assembled on the banks to see the operation. And while the church wardens were absolutely engaged in uh, drowning the bag or donning the bag over her, a Colonel Taylor, who was it's hard to read what they write. Lately arrived from Ireland, hit on the following uh, well, trying to favor her. By no foul, said he to the wardens, ye all wrong. You know nothing of witches. Now in Ireland we have found out a much further way or surer way without half the trouble. The people were anxious to hear the this new method. Oh, the Irish, that means Irish method. Why? Phase the colonel. My jewels. We put the women in one seal, and the big church Bible in the other. If the Bible outweighs the woman, she is a witch and must be burnt. But if the woman is the heaviest, she is no witch. By soul, the colonel's method was approved of and a trial made, and thus the light of the woman preserved. Who, but the for Colonel Taylor's, I can't read that word, must have fallen a sacrifice to the ignorance and the prejudice of illiterate people. Let's see if I missed you. Okay. No worries, Kevin. If bumbles bounce, can't witches too? Heck yeah, witches float. Yeah. White 6-1. Damn. So you can kind of see here where, and I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this on YouTube. The unintelligent means of determining a witch back in these days was way out there. I mean, just way out there. They'd put them in sacks, throw them in a river. Supposedly, they believed that if someone was a witch, then the being water is used for baptism, then they would not be able to float because the water would reject them because the baptism would reject them. So this is their mindset when putting them in a certain kind of cloth. Um, Fourth, yeah. Told you you're so witchy today. Still 6 wins he's giving. Oh man. Um, yeah, and can't remember if that's. I'll have to check that out here in a minute. Make sure it ain't the same one. Um, so their method of doing this was wrong, and this is why so many innocent people were accused of witches and were underlived wrongfully because of their methods. Now, this certain type of sack that they used was known to float. So, I mean, right there, you're failing them as it is. Probably, I'd lean more towards probably 20 or 10 to 90%, 10% being a witch when they were actually accused. That's just from my studies, but that's just my opinion. The question, which was arms tied behind the back and raised to the ceiling to drop about a foot above the water. That was one method too, and I think one of these articles does talk about that. Hey, Firewater. Yes, witches were women who held sacred knowledge that went against the narrative. A lot of times, like women, even some men who used herbs for healing were called witches because they did not depend on the Bible and the Word of God for healing. So you were a heretic, and therefore you were a witch. So this is something else that we see. It's very common with that. That's a little bit better with that aspect. So we have to consider that. And this is this mindset of these people back in the 18th century. It really was their mindset. I need to look because I think this is the same one. Yeah, that's the same one. This is a Virginia Gazette, September 13th, 1770. Um, Real witches were sleeping with the inquisitors and pointing out others they had issues with. That was something else. Yes, that did happen or so. Yes. There were no witches burned, all innocent people. I don't think all of them were innocent because there has been some evidence to show you that some of them were absolutely guilty. But the numbers were very, very, I mean, very, and that's why I'll be pretty generous to saying 10 to 80, 10 to 90, because it's probably even less than that. I'm being very, very generous by saying 10% versus 90%, 10% being actually being witches. My Celtic witchy self. Heck yeah, firewater. So, like I said, this one here is from the Virginia Gazette, Williams neighborhood, from Williamsburg, Virginia, September 13th, 1770. Well, and that's actually, well, let me hold on this one. Maybe being of an herbalist. Yeah, see, I mean, a lot of herbalists were accused of it. A lot of people actually mistaken witchcraft. People who practice, it's actually technically a form because you're using herbs to heal and stuff like that. Um, accuse them of being witches, and they're not witches; they're healers. So a lot of people will tell you there's white witches and there's black witches. Well, no, really, in all honesty, in my opinion, because of my research, there's healers and there's actual witches. Witches actually practice dark magic. They don't heal. They don't help. They all they want to do is destroy and cause harm. And those are witches. Those are true witches. They practice dark magic. Hey, Bounty. Um, Now the ones that they call white witches, they're not really witches. They're healers. They use the Mother Earth like we're supposed to, and I don't know why people forgot about that in that time frame. Because even in the Bible it says, "I put these plants on the earth to not only feed you but to heal you." But for some reason, back in this time, because the Catholic Church said this and the king says this, then all of a sudden, if you're using herbs, you're now a witch. And that was a big problem that was going on back then. And this it all stemmed from the Catholic Church and it stemmed from King James. I had to do with the sacred knowledge. Oh, yeah. It had to do with sacred knowledge. Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any more comments. um, People were very confused on that. So, I mean, people who are doing the right thing, even biblically doing the right thing, were accused of witches. Now, another group of people that were accused of witches back then is if somebody had a problem, say like the church had a problem with somebody, or an official, or even a neighbor trying to steal your land, they would accuse you of witchcraft. They would do the trials, and then you'd become unalive. So automatically, you're a witch. People had land or had land others wanted. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just talking about that. Yeah. Girls who didn't fancy a man when they offered them. Yes. Yes. You're right. Or so. Yeah. I just realized that the saying, which is a witchy phrase today, that's terrible. Poor. Yeah. No kidding, man. If it violates the law of one, it comes from the darkness. Mm-hmm. Becky Lynch. Give me Valkyrie. Yeah, I need one too. I need one too, Kyle. Let's take a look into this one here. Let's let me scroll down so I can see this more. I can't tell. This might be a long. Oh, this is going to be a hard one to read. Edinburgh, June 22nd. A small ship boat arrived at Leith on Tuesday with two men on board from the West Highlands, which is a very surprising voyage to be preformed in one open boat. They they came around by Orkney and were 2 months on their passage. They had no oars, but only a snail shell and an empty cask in the end of the boat. Laid on its broadside, served two men for a bed. One gently slept in in it at night, and afterwards relieved the other, who kept watch. Wait, is this not? This is not what. Never mind. It gave me the wrong deal. Even though it says which. So they never mind. That was the wrong one. Let's go to this one. This is the Virginia Gazette, Williamsburg, Virginia, November 28th, 751. Let me make sure this ain't another one that's like that. Okay, this one actually got which. Okay. London, July 28th. Last Friday, 1/16th part of the Essex Captain Jackson, now on her voyage to India, was sold for £555 to the intimate merchant of this city. July 30th at Hereford, as this, I guess, was condemned Thomas Coley for the second, I'm guessing they're saying condemned, for murder of Ruth Osborne near Tring. The facts proved at this trial, whereas related Gazette number 29, with the additional of the following peculiars, such as the folly of superstition, the workhouse for the supposed witch. They looked even into the salt box, supposing that she might have concealed herself um, within this, or within less space than would contain a cat. Having wrapped the deceased and her husband in two different sheets, shift trying to their great or tying their great toes and thumbs together. The most active of the mob dragged the deceased into the water by the cord which they had put around her body, and she not sinking. The prisoner collie went into the pond and turned her over several times with a stick. After a considerable time, she was hallowed to the shore. I mean towed to the shore, and the old man was dragged into the pond in this same manner. And this they repeated to each 3 times. The deceased, after she was dragged in the third time, being pushed about by the prisoner, slipped out of the sheet, and her body was exposed naked, not withstanding which the prisoner continued to push her on the breast with the stick, which she with her left hand endeavored to catch hold of, but was prevented by his snatching it away. After using her in the manner The she was motionless. They dragged her to shore and laid her on the ground, where she expired. And then the prisoner went among the spectators and collected money for the pains he had taken in showing them sport. The old man afterwards recovered, but he did not appear as in evidence. They write from Toulon that they are building 10 exhibits in the harbor, which are to mount 30 guns each. They say that these vessels are designed for the service of the Spanish court, but um, all are so kind as they let us know that they will be employed only against the Barbary course fair. Well, Barbary pirates. Barbary pirates were real bad back then. Real bad back then. In fact, our government used to pay them a lot of money. That's why they created a navy. Um, it was stood up the navy the way they did was to combat the Barbary pirates. Uh, Private letters from the Hogue took notice of the very shrewd answer given by Mr. VH, so famous for his negotiations, to a certain court lord who asked him how the world went. What does that have to do with this witch? Okay, so we see in this one here. Let's see if I missed any comments here. Oh, thank you, Larry. You're awesome, dude. I appreciate you so much. Um, Let me make sure. Let me try to get caught up on your comments, guys. Hey, Bounty. As long as the as long as the indigenous Celts, blacks, etc., held sacred knowledge, they would be burned, killed, or enslaved. Yeah, exactly. Or certain illnesses like mental illnesses could end up burned out. Yes, there was mental illnesses that people that were also accused of being a witch. They said they were touched by the devil. They were touched or possessed. I can't remember. I think it was touched. Yep, that's another one too, Roxanne. Yes. No problem, Brother William. You'd be accused of speaking to the devil, from what I've heard. Well, and that's another thing too. If a man wanted to divorce his wife, which you couldn't do in the eyes of God back then, they were known to accuse their wives they wanted to divorce as being a witch. And that was one way to divorce a wife back then, so that you can find, like, if a man found a younger, prettier woman that he wanted, he couldn't, be with her outside of marriage, and he couldn't marry her because he was already married and couldn't get a divorce. They were known to accuse her of being a witch, and that happened quite often as well too. No worries, Tanya. Yep. So you see here where they're trying to roll them around the float. I mean, for one, if it was a dead body, which is, according to this was, but apparently it wasn't, um, a dead body's going to float. A deceased body is going to float. Not only that, you can lay on your back and float. And I'm pretty sure every single one of us in this chat, or watching this, has floated on their back at one point in time. It's not hard to do. So these methods, you can see how cruel and barbaric they are, because they made absolutely zero sense on testing if somebody was a witch. Well, and that's another thing. Like, so men were known to have a side piece, and say that side piece got pregnant and she wanted him to marry her and take care of the baby, and he didn't want that tied to him, that was another reason to be called a witch as well. Take a look at this one real quick. Yep. Yeah, firewater. Yeah. Wasn't it also used as a land grab? Yeah, we was. Why did you do that? Yes, we was talking about that earlier. It was used as a land grab technique too. Yeah, I mean it wasn't just a neighbor. I mean a nobleman was known to do it. Just anybody that wanted land, regardless of the rank or statue, would be known to do that just to get land. This is Jinx Portland Gazette, Portland, August 26th, 1799. Let's make sure this is not another mix up. See, another mix up. Yep. Yep. That's another mix up. So we won't worry about that one. We've been kind of hitting that, Roxanne. I'm reading some stuff from that time frame, and we'll get into more of that stuff as well. As well, yeah. Or livestock, yeah. Also accusing someone. Yeah. We looked at that one too with a pig. Okay, let me check this one real quick. Oh, this is a article that somebody wrote a poet or a poem. When I had this up yesterday, it didn't give me this many articles, so I'm having to go re-go through these. Okay, yep, that's another misidentification. See, yesterday it only gave me 4 of these on the 1700s. Now it's showing a bunch of them, so now I've got to go back through these things to see which ones are legitimate and which ones ain't. And which you can do the same thing I'm doing. You can go to Library of Congress up here. I always hit newspaper, and I'll type in like witch trials, and that's one way. That's how I do it. So sometimes it'll pull stuff up pretty easy. Sometimes it'll give you a bunch of crap that's not even associated with it. Yeah, that's a little interesting. Okay, this one here, New Hampshire Gazette, Portsmouth, April 26, 1794. Happiness having been defined by certain acts, wits, and the art of being adortly deceived, perhaps no order is so or no order in society merits congratulation more than the cajoled cluster of good, easy men, whom knaves call dupes. Amicus Deagle, or in any other night earned a old romance most continually serves with who the touch of the talisman causes the gorgeous cattle to dwindle to a cot or the wrinkle of a witch to marry. Oh, okay, never mind. I read that wrong earlier. We're going to skip past that one. Can't believe how many of them it popped up today. Let me redo this because this is giving me a month. Okay, right there. No, that's right. Newspaper witch trials. Hey, Joanne. Well, I'm waiting on. Oh, there he goes. Um, People back then on the eggs or walked on eggshells and still wasn't safe from accusations if someone targeted you, not even the reverend's wife. Yeah, absolutely. The good old trial, Sarah Osborne trial. Yeah, absolutely. 1751, another Virginia Gazette. Oh, we read this one already. Oh, this one, I think. Okay, so this is another Virginia Gazette. The other September 26, 1751. If that is correct, and that's talking about how to conduct a witch trial, basically. Okay, yeah. So let's kind of look into this. This is the article that they put out. This was May 2nd. The account we give some time ago of the Rio and murder that lately happened at this place was in general true, yet several names were mistaken and some circumstances omitted. There are um, here corrected and supplied in some account added of the incidents which for several years past have gradually been tending to produce this unhappy event a little before the death or defeat of the Scotch in the late rebellion. The old woman Osborne came to one Butterfield, who then kept dairy at Gobblecott and begged for some buttermilk. But Butterfield told her with great brutality that he had not enough for his hogs. This provoked the old woman, who went away telling him that the pretender would have him and his hogs too. Soon afterwards, several of Butterfield's calves become um, distempered, upon which some ignorant people who had been told the story of the buttermilk gave out that they were bewitched by the old woman Osborne, and Butterfield himself, who had now left his dairy and taken the public house by the brook of Cobblecott, having been lately, as he had been many years before, at times troubled with fits. Mother Osborne was said to be the cause. He was pursued that the doctors could do him no good, and his advice and was advised to send for the old woman out of Northamptonshire, Northamptonshire, who was famous for curing um, diseases that were produced by witchcraft. This sagacious, whatever person, sagacious person was accordingly sent for games. She confirmed that the ridiculous opinion that he had been um, propagated of Butterfield's disorder and ordered 6 men to watch his house day and night with staves, pitchforks, and other weapons. At the same time, hanging something about their necks, which she said was a charm that would secure them from being bewitched themselves. However, these extraordinary proceedings produced no considerable effects, nor drew the attention of the place upon them, till some person, in order to bring a large company together with a lucrative view, ordered by anonymous letters that public notice should be given at Winflow, Lytton, and Hempstead by the crier that witches were to be tried by ducking at the long. Yeah, that's jumbled together. I can't make it out. On the 22nd of April, the consequences were as they have related them. Expect that no person has yet been committed on the corners inquisite except one Thomas Cooley, um, chimney sweeper, but several of the ringleaders in the riot are known, some of whom they were uh, remote, and no expense or diligence was be spared to bringing them to justice. So right there's your Osborne. They're talking. I remember this case. I remember this kind of vaguely. Um, I believe because if I remember correctly on this case, the person couldn't help them. He was, but Ozzy also became a Christian before the end too. Um, what did I miss? Oh, no worries, no worries. So if I remember right, this is that one where she was supposed to help at Butterfield and couldn't do it, so they accused her of a witch. If this is the same one I'm thinking of, you kind of seen a little. Oh shit, a little bit there. I can't remember if that carried on or not. Oh, wrong one. No. Okay. That's. Let's go up to. Oh, it's not giving me. It's not giving me the dates like it usually does. There we go. Let's go. There's 3 there. I think that was one of them. I got to look at it to see. Well, if it'll pop up, we'll look at it and see. Yep, that's not it. So there's none from that date. I think these are ones I was looking at yesterday here. Oh, I read that one already. I think these are the ones I was looking at yesterday. Okay, let's try this again. I got kicked off and kicked back on. We're seeing here, several cases like the Butterfield deal, where he wasn't. No kidding, Urso. Yeah, man, this internet stuff it's really upsetting me. Um, really, really upsetting me. I actually called, but no one's open, so I left a little message today because I was like, dude, this is getting out of hand. Okay, this is not the one I was thinking of. So, I mean, what do you guys think on this? I mean, what's your opinions on how they determine who was a witch back then or not? While I'm waiting on this to load. Okay, that's not one. Am I? Oh, I was reading something, Kevin. I'm trying to find some more here. There's a lot more that popped up today than what they did yesterday, which tells me that my internet was jacking with me yesterday. So now I've got to go through and redo all these and go back through them. Oh, this is a good one. Let's talk Marion, which oh nope, that's a poem too. I just realized that's not popped up there. Sorry, guys. Healer land grabs, not liking someone, or just getting back on someone were some of many reasons accused of someone of being witch. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of witches were burned with their cats because cats were scared as well. Yeah, especially black cats. So that's where the superstition of the black cat came from. And I can tell you now that's not true. Hey, Dawn, let's go to 1790 and to 1799. Glad it's popped up more than what it did yesterday. It only gave me 4 yesterday. Okay, that was one. We read that one already. Yeah, that's not it. Ooh, this one might be. Um, there's a difference between not liking someone and sentencing them to death. Very scary. Yeah, Joanne, and that was very common back in them times. Very, very common back in times. Accuse somebody of witch to get rid of them, so that way they can do whatever their intentions were at the time. Becky Lynch won. Damn, she cheated, didn't she, or so? I was kind of looking at this one. So this one is from the Kentucky Gazette, Lexington, January 5th, 1793. Um, make sure I get to these comments before. Oh, did they? Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Bailey's character. The famous witch trial, the girls who accused many people of being witches till they were fought by an authority. Oh, yeah. Caught by authority. Yeah. I mean, there was times back then where, say one girl looked prettier than this one girl. The one girl that wasn't so pretty would get mad and accuse her of being a witch because she was getting more attention by the men than she was. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, Don, we was talk about that. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. The method is just there. There's absolutely zero evidence to support that their methods back then would guarantee that this person was a witch or not. I mean, it was just, and the thing was, is they totally went against the Bible, even though they were using it of the Bible, or accused, or they were not accused, they were confessing that they were using the Bible. Yes, that is correct, Roxanne. Even when a woman admitted she was a witch, so their soul would be saved, still killed. Absolutely. A lot of them thought that they would live if they admitted it and sought, to be reborn within Christ. Thought they would live, and then they were still executed. That stuff happened back then as well too. So I mean, it shows you that there was no legitimacy to everything they were doing at all. It was all, how do I want to put it? It was all a bunch of yes. The collector of revenue in this commonwealth are desired to observe what lest they or lay proceed immediately to do the execution of the duties of their several offices and collect indifferences mainly from all persons chargeable with the um, the sums with. Oh wait, never mind. I read that wrong. I even looked at it and still read it wrong. They used the punishments that King James wrote in the book. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what we was talking about earlier, Roxanne. You're 100% right. It was the Catholic Church and King James that wrote these new methods up, and it totally went against the Bible. Hey, Tim. The same tactics are used throughout all history by the same people to keep control and evolve the world into what we have today, controlled by religious persecution. And yeah, I agree with you 100% on that, Bounty. I agree with you. The Old Testament says, "Suffer not a witch to lives." Yeah, I mean, I remember that. I had to think for a second. That old script is difficult to read. Stupid thing. The This looks like an F. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I'm struggling on that, Joanne, is because of that right there. And plus, sometimes they wrote differently back then, and um, okay, that's not one. Yeah, they. I mean, it was Solo Sikoa versus Jacob. Give me Jacob Fatu. Um, yeah, they went totally against the Bible. Yeah, and that's what. Hey, Bigfoot Dwarf. So, and that's the thing is sadly, we don't do it to this level today, but we're still doing this kind of stuff to today. I mean, we're not sitting there trying to drown them, accuse them of being witches, or anything like that. But we're still persecuting people in the same way. I don't think this is one. I think this is actually just a part of a book. Calls to the spirits from the something deep into the to be with there will come calling the witch of Endor. Yeah, I think this was just a story. Um, but well, and that's you've been for Roxanne, yes, absolutely. Um, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody here. Oops. Uh, Check whenever, no pressure. What did I miss, Bigfoot? Sorry. Let me scroll up here, see what I missed. Did I scroll past it? There's still laws on books for witchcraft, and some like voodoo and zombie poison. Most of the laws are not enforced these days. Yeah. Oh yeah, it sucks when you lose them old ones. Right, right, Roxanne. Yes, yes. Okay, I see what's going on. That's why I missed it. Okay, let me get in here, take a look at this, see if this is another one. Okay, this is just talking about a person, their beauty. Um, so, you know, in honesty, I know we're always taught growing up burning the stake, and not every single time. Believe it or not, less people were burned at the stake than they did from drowning. More people drowned before they were burnt at the stake. Uh, and that's mainly because a lot of innocent people were um, accused of being a witch. So there was actually more people unalive by drowning through this means of checking for witchcraft than they actually did burning at the stake. But we don't get taught that in school and education, and that's what's sad. You really have to dig into history to go, we were told wrong in school. Well, I mean, that's I learned that stuff in school. I don't know about you guys, but I remember the Salem witch trials, learning that stuff in school and what they did to witches back then. That's how I knew about this stuff was back in grade school learning about it. I'm waiting on this thing to load up, which tells me my internet's up again. Let's see if I get kicked off again. Come on, you can do it. So I mean, this is then. I can't remember. There's a book. It's an older book. See, here we go. Uh, he was also taught. Yeah, I mean, I was taught the witch trials back in grade school, but there is an older book. I can't remember the name of it. Man, it was years ago that I read it that actually talked about what happened back in them days, and I was like, this is not what was taught in school. This is totally different than what I was taught in school. And that's when I started learning the history. Then I started diving into stuff and realizing, man, yeah, we were definitely told wrong. So, yeah, there's not it. Said that was a witch and it's not, it's a watch. That's one thing you have to be careful on this Library of Congress thing. That one's got potential. Hey, Tim. Did Tim come in and I missed it? Or no, I think I said hi to Tim already. Never mind. I think I did. If I didn't, hi. And we have to be careful in that because, like I was saying earlier, oh, well, shoot, it's an hour past. So, let me get this loaded up so it doesn't mess with it. Hey, Jeff. Um, but, the Salem witch trials is the most famous one. But in all actuality, witch trials were going on and more prominent and all over. But the Salem witch trials was a small portion of what was going on back then. Yes, Eric. I think I learned about the Salem witch trials the same year us kids had to read the lottery. Yeah, I mean it. That I don't know if it's taught. I don't think it's taught in school anymore. I don't remember. I'll have to ask my daughter later. I don't think it's taught in school anymore. Um, I'm waiting on this to load up, and then we'll play some Dark Angel Medical, being since the top of the hour. Okay. Um, oh, were you? Wow, I didn't think they would. Well, never mind. That does make sense. I retract. Let's, since it's the top of the hour, let's get some Dark. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a guess because it wasn't playing on me, and hopefully that played. But we can still get him. Oops, hit the wrong button. We can still get his information out there, regardless if it played on your end or not. Dark Angel Medical is by far the best first aid and trauma kit you could buy in the market. I have two. I keep one in my truck, one on my field bag when I'm out investigating or just walking through the woods. The reason why I buy them is not, I don't get no money for advertising. I believe in his product that much. That's why I asked Kerry Pocket Doc Davis if I can um, promote his company on my show. I don't ask for anything in return. You can use Cryptid 20 for 20% off. If you have FSA and HSA, which I just found out I had this whole time, I've been using Sezzle to buy my Dark Angel kits, which is a way to do it because they are a little pricey. So if you can't afford for them out of pocket, you can use Sezzle. But being as I have HSA and I didn't know about it, I've had HSA for 2 years, which I'm kind of excited to see how much money I've got tied up in there. It might be a way for me to get another kit because I need to get one or two more. You can use those kits. If you use the kit to save a life and you send it to Kerry, he will replace what you used in that kit for absolutely free. His medications have a 2 year shelf life to them too, which I believe he replaces if memory serves me correctly. You'll have to get with him to find out for sure. He also does training programs on first aid and trauma care at youtube.com at Dark Angel Medical 5115. And he also puts them on his Instagram, Dark Angel Medical. Following him on YouTube or Instagram to learn some of the stuff that he's got, you are missing out. He also travels around the U.S. and giving classes too. So definitely, um, give him a follow. And if you can get him to teach you some first aid classes for your work, I would get him out there. The man is extremely knowledgeable. It's very knowledgeable when it comes to that stuff. So I highly recommend Dark Angel Medical. In fact, when I was at my rally a couple of weeks ago, I had my headrest kit sitting on the table. That way, everybody knew if something happened, there's a first aid kit right there, first aid and trauma kit, which was my Dark Angel headrest kit. That's how much I believe in his product. Yeah. Man, I'm hoping they can give me a call tomorrow so I can get this stuff fixed, man. Um, hey, Justin. Oh, that's a song. Um, Man, we can be fun through these things for a while. So let's uh let's go ahead and I think that's enough news articles for now. Let's leave it to you guys. What kind of questions or what do you got on these witch trials and their procedures? I think it was was it Urso or someone was saying in the chat how they would tie him to a rope and hang him from a bridge. It wasn't a foot above the waters, um, just enough that the water went over their head. That way they could know. And absolutely so. And Kerry Doc Davis is good at explaining that stuff. Um, so that was one technique they used. The NAA and SAA just released information about a quake in New Jersey and New York, saying that a massive molten lava flow is under Virginia to New Hampshire, causing problems. No kidding. I got to try to remember to look that up. Wow, that's not good. That's not good at all. I didn't think there was a volcano down in the area, but I could be wrong. New ones could be popping up. It could be a volcano. Because that does happen. In fact, most of your islands are formed that way.